Welcome back. We're very happy to be with you. It's a very overcast and a little bit of rain in this autumn day we're having here today, but we're here going to continue with our reflections. It got cool all of a sudden too, and then we'll see. It might be back to warm again too. Who knows? Can't keep track of it in this time of year around here. Okay, so Teresa's going to continue on the 31st Sunday in Ordinary Time. Sometimes we do the Holy Day, which is All Saints. It's on Wednesday, but this year we're going to simply do the Mass of the Sunday. So,
a reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus spoke to the crowds and to his disciples, saying, "The scribes and the Pharisees have taken their seat on the chair of Moses. Therefore, do and observe all things whatsoever they tell you, but do not follow their example. For they preach, but they do not practice. They tie up heavy burdens, hard to carry, and lay them on people's shoulders, but they will not lift a finger to move them. All their works are performed to be seen. They widen their phylacteries and lengthen their tassels. They love places of honor at banquets, seats of honor in synagogues, greetings in marketplaces, and the salutation, Rabbi. As for you, do not be called Rabbi. You have but one teacher, and you are all brothers. Call no one on earth your father. You have but one Father in heaven. Do not be called master. You have but one master, the Christ. The greatest among you must be your servant. Whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Every once in a while you discover in your life, and especially as a priest, you might know it, have a way of knowing this a little bit more easily than other people, but you meet somebody who outwardly has a very maybe tough or rough exterior, who is an unbelievably wonderful, saintly person at the same time. And many of us have that experience too, where many of the people in our lives were very normal, healthy people who we have found were very holy. And that maybe we came to be inspired by that. My grandfather was like that. He was a very devout man, but you wouldn't know it by the way he talked, and the way he talked to me very much like guys talk, but at the same time there was this saintly, good, and wonderful person there, and it's not a rare quality. What Jesus is saying, we ought not do things to be seen. We do things because it's right. We come across this in our lives. We say, I'm a conservative, so this is how I'll act. I'm a liberal, so this is how I'll act. And instead of saying, this is right, so this is how I'll act. There's that line from the Harry Potter book. We've come to a time in the world, I think Dumbledore says it, where people are going to have to make a choice between what is easy and what is right. We have that problem where we want to keep up our appearances with the other conservatives, so we don't act on the right path, we act on the conservative path, and it can happen the other way too. Those of you who know me know that I'm against all kinds of political things. We're constantly fighting that. And the ebb and flow is kind of who is in charge in the movement of the times. Not really anything other than that. You end up with the same sins committed by both of those kind of political opposites in our culture. And by the way, there's not only two, there's all kinds of variation now in all of these things. But we should always do the things in our life that we do because they are right to do. Jesus here gives us a very complicated thing. Do what they say, but don't emulate them. Don't live like this. They do everything to be seen. And we know wonderful, generous, and amazing Christian people who are doing things to be seen. We know that this happens. We see it. We should be trying to frustrate this and also be patient with people like that as well, so that we might understand that that's part of our journey, and that's part of our traps, one of the traps we might fall into in the life that we share together. That we might fall into this should be something we know about. But at the same time, that God sends His grace to us that we might recover from them is an even greater thing. I said it at Daily Mass a few weeks ago, but we should all pray for the grace that He gave St. Paul, that when we needed it, we're knocked down to the ground. We should pray for that. It doesn't mean kick dirt on me every day of my life, Lord. It means if I need to be corrected in that way, if I need to get off of my high horse, knock me off. If I'm on a scaffold and I'm tightening the bolts of my own creation on this scaffold and I'm protected and I'm building things to protect it, knock me off if it's your will, Lord. And that is a hard, hard prayer for people in the world today. And it has been for centuries, because it requires me to literally die out of love for the other to myself on a daily basis. And that is something that is hard for us. It is, in fact, the hardest thing that I've learned as a pastor is to be able to mediate those kinds of challenges. When we go to, no, it's not right for me to do this. And of course, I might be completely right about a situation. Someone else might have done something that wrongs me or hurts the parish or something. And at the same time, we're called to still love. That's hard. It's very challenging. So what Jesus says here is not the easiest thing in the world. But you understand the teaching. The teaching is that if God alone knows your goodness, that's enough. That's enough. If God alone, if everybody knows the good works you do, you should scrutinize that a little bit. Are you doing it for that reason? I've said this before about things, and I don't understand this way of living, but I also understand that a lot of people do it. But a lot of people are very comfortable with running cover-ups in their own life. They're very comfortable at keeping their appearances up. And my thinking is, wouldn't it be more efficient to not run cover-ups and put that energy into actually doing those things? But we need to understand that this is something that we might fall into. Jesus again is going after those religious leaders, and maybe even just the general religious people who want to advance on an earthly and human level. They want power and control, and they want to advance over people rather than advance in what matters to God, which is, are we feeding and helping the poor? Are we visiting the sick? Are we visiting those in prisons? Are we getting to those little things that seem like little things? So on a daily basis for me, in this parish, it's a terrifically busy place, administratively terribly demanding. And when you become a priest to go and visit the sick, and you become a priest to say Mass, and you become a priest to do sacramental work. And that's the smallest part of my day, but it's almost always the best part of my day. Almost always. And the only reason I say almost instead of always is because sometimes it's extremely tiring, but it's still better than doing all this administrative work that is necessary. But that is something that we have to come to some degree of terms with, is that we don't always get to choose how that's going. But we do that, and the things that matter the most are those things that I do during the day that have to do with healing, with help, with assistance. That is the most important thing. And as long as we prioritized our life on that, and all of those other things we do that are necessary, and we get those moments kind of distilled, and then they become graces for the people who are receiving them, who are coming for assistance. They become graces certainly for me. They become graces for Amy and Teresa. They become graces for the parish, because those people, in those people, the grace of God is at work, and in us, the grace of God is at work. And this teaching is being fulfilled in some small way. So we keep that in mind, and I hope I'm making that last part clear, is that it's really for those human moments when we can call somebody on the phone, when we can be reconciled, when we can be healed, when we can forgive, when we can say I'm sorry, when we can say please, thank you. All of those things are grace-filled, if not capital S, small as sacramental moments in our life that preserve that wonderful unity and gift that we receive in receiving Him, Jesus Christ, in communion. So that's enough for today. I'm sure I had like 30 other things that I was going to say as I was listening, but that'll be enough for this week. And thank you very much. Someone commented that I don't know if they liked my pin that I was wearing or not, but they noticed I was wearing my little kitty pin on. So I'm not wearing my jacket. I don't want anybody else to go looking at my clothing too closely. It's all pretty normal. I'm wearing short sleeves, but that's only because I always wear short sleeves. But thank you very much, and let us know if there's anything we can do for you. And wherever you are, I hope that you have just a wonderful and beautiful day.